in case if so you can go ahead and share your screen and explain what you've done so far. Like try to explain the application as you would try to explain, try to explain anybody else, or say
okay, sir.
Just a few 5 minutes thing.
Okay, sir. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's showing up.
Okay, just a second. So what I did, like I shared the screenshots with you now.
So just remember,
Yeah.
Shweta,
So first of all, what
Shweta is seeing the screens for the first time, huh? So you have to use that word. Also, she must have seen it for the first time. So just give an introduction. Is what you're seeing on the screen? You not
like
everybody knows, no? Okay.
Like what we are creating a mobile application named as Swastha, which will be connected to the blockchain application, and it will contain the electronic medical records. Like it will be helpful for fetching electronic records, medical records by different organizations. Like we have here a role play of just a second. Five actors are there in this application, like a medical center, researcher, government, physician, and patient. First of all, what will happen? The patient will go to the medical center and give its blood sample or something sample, and anything is that. And when the medical center generates report, it adds it to the blockchain network. What the patient do? Patient logs in through the patient logs in through the Swastha app that is connected to the blockchain, and now it can see its medical reports and also whatever. Just a second. And he will be able to the information as PDF or any relevant format. For that, I made the patient login screen, and then patient will at its home page. Patient will be able to see its old records like that has been fed by the medical centers, and it will be able to view, download, or share its record. Now what will happen? Now some physician or some country or some researcher will request to the patient about to get the data for a specific indicator like hemoglobin or RBC, something like that. Now what will do? Physician will make a request to the patient. Now that screen is just a second. That screen.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, okay. So now right now the patient profile settings is pretty much basic. Now what will it do? Allow the country to access its data. Now the like if the government wants the data of its country, will the patient want its data to be accessed through blockchain? And since the data will be accessed through blockchain, what will happen? Its patient identity will not be revealed, but the data will be sent electronically. Now we have only the country, like if the government want to access the data, only its government can access the data. But from the point of view of researchers can get data from other countries too, on different countries. So like I have given a drop down arrow option through which the patient can choose to share its data to which to different researchers. And one of its like settings, we have the change password. This was all about the patient. Now coming to the physician part, whatever the physician will do, first of all physician will log in. Now log in, then it will go to the patient data request. Yeah, physician, as I already told, the physician will add the patient ID and will request to the patient whatever data and something like whatever it wants. Now what will happen? View patient information. Now when it receives the information, physician receives the information from the patient. Now since the physician has the information, it can the physician can also recommend or prescribe medicines, or like what things are the patient is currently running deficient of, he can approve. So we are tackling two things here. The patient is also getting prescribed, as well as the patient the physician is getting the data to research or something he wants to work on. Now what happens? Now coming to the government part, government will also log in through some country ID or something like that, login ID. Now what will happen? Now what will happen? The government can also directly, it does not necessarily needs to connect to the it does the government don't has that much, like it will be very ineffective. Government employee will send the request to every single person. So hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. So what will happen? The government, since the physician has allowed its data to share to the country, now through the blockchain only, the what will happen? The government will add the information of the indicator whose value it wants, also the age, and also from date to date or the gender, and it can download the download its data as a PDF or CSV file of its country. Now what happened? Now we have a medical BI screen. This screen I think I hasn't made. Yeah, I forgot to make this screen. So what it will do now, it will allow the government to select indicator, age, basically filter through various filter data through various aspects and get a report like something like this. Like we have here bar graph. This is for researcher, but for government it will be, I think, for male, female and others, like through gender wise, hemoglobin and which age group, these things will be there. Now coming to the researcher part. Now researcher will also log in through the Swasthya app similarly, like other persons, other actors. Now it will also make a medical query, but here for a researcher we will also give an option for the country. The country, if the researcher want the data from some other country, he or she will request will enter the name of that country and get the data from that country. Also through the medical BI screen, here also it will get some filters, and then it can generate a report of some highly populated countries and other small populated countries. Like maybe I can do your download report, so it will incorporate all the countries, but I have shown a bar graph here. Other things, I don't think anything much left from my side. Hello, sir, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
I think I have to shift this government and researcher to app. Otherwise, there will be no motive of making the app.
No, that's fine.
In this part.
This diagram is intuitive. So ideally, what happens is it is not necessary we have to give the app. No, we have to incorporate government and researcher logins in Swasth app. We're just recommending it. But anybody connect to the blockchain network and get
this app.
Yeah, they can create a similar app. Just like we are creating it so that as an example, so that anybody else also can create the similar apps and connect to the blockchain. So nobody is we are for us the main purpose is between the patient and the physician, not government or researcher. Has some history of record, and the physician anywhere in the world wants to know the record, and then he wants to take decisions based on that record. The other part is add-on basically. So government also can research, can look at the health profile of the country. The researcher can look at the global health profile of the country, right? So, and it is not necessary they have to go through the Swasth app. They can write their own app. Government can write their own apps. We cannot keep on writing apps for everybody, So, but the thing is, we're still definitely having those screens available, and we will try to incorporate and create government IDs, because there has to be a way to distinguish between the different roles in the blockchain, So there has to be kind of it has to be autonomous. At the same time, there has to be kind of self-governing. So self-governing network without any control, and so it's control. So we are thinking of a public blockchain right now over here, so that we'll have to look into those matters later. But whether we should go with public blockchain or private blockchain. So ideally, a public blockchain works good, because the in a public blockchain, the nodes are managed by the ordinary people. So the cost, you don't have to bear the cost of maintaining the blockchain network. So, but if it is a private blockchain, then you're saying, no, this is my network, then you have to invest in your own machines then, in your own servers, and that can become expensive for anybody to set up. So a public blockchain does have benefit from the cost perspective, and it is managed by the public and everything, and it is the code is not the code cannot be modified, the data cannot be modified, so all that is in place for anybody to use. And the more we reach out with this data to all over the world, the more people can get engaged and contribute to solutions around the problem of health data. So the problem is it's very difficult to get the health data, right? That is the main problem we are trying to solve. So and that is what we are trying to make it available through this system, the system. So the diagram, you keep it like that, though there are some things which is not we don't have to explain everything on the diagram, so it is not a kind of, so this way it's very intuitive that the patient and the physicians are the two main roles connecting to the app. They definitely need this kind of apps, otherwise it will not, that first milestone won't be achieved. Second milestone would be definitely government and gets in. That will be a second phase of the project. The third phase is automation of the blood samples and results. So right now it is a manual process. Somebody goes to the medical center. There's a lot of timeline involved. By the time you take the sample, get the test done, get it into a blockchain. So ideally, I would want that to be automated. So I want some, means you can look at it, just find out, do some research, see what are the devices.
I think your voice is breaking.
Okay.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, you are audible, but my network is definitely, I'm on the slow network.
I think your voice is breaking.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, I'm looking at this progress of this app in 3 phases. First, make it available for the patient. Phase 1. Phase 2, make it available for government and research. Phase 3, automate the process of that patient medical center blockchain network. On the left hand side, you see that flow, right? So that anytime when you go to a medical center, the timeline to process that entire thing will at least take 3 to 4 days, right? to collect, go to the medical perform get the blood sample given, then the blood sample goes to the laboratory then takes the result and gives it on the next day, or maybe 2 days or 3 days, and then there's a lot of manual process involved in this by the time the results even get into the blockchain network. Ideally, what should happen is we should have some kind of device which is collecting your blood sample automatically with a prick of your pin automatic, and that blood sample automatically means we'll have to look into if there is any medical devices like that. Are you getting what I'm saying? So which will collect the blood sample, test and do some tests and convert that results into digital format and send it. So and when you're sending it, like an IoT device, Internet of Things. So it will be like a sensor, like a temperature sensor, the temperature, then taking its data and sending it to as a, from this IoT device to the main server. That is what we ideally want to automate. So that is phase 3. So that is, I'm very sure there is going to be a lot of innovative devices in today's world to at least collect the blood sample and give you, or at least some devices which is going to give you, like let's say your temperature, then it can give you your blood pressure rate. Some things are available, some things may not be available, but you can be innovative in having such devices. These devices may be there at the medical center itself. Just go to the medical center, put your finger, the machine takes a prick, pricks your finger and takes the blood out of it. Immediately the results are processed through some chemical, through some chemtech, chemistry and technology mix. So take the chemicals, apply some technology around it, and convert some data out of it, and then transfer it to the blockchain. So that process, I would ideally want it to be automated. So that area is not something which I've looked at, but that's something which is definitely in today's date. There are devices, I think it is called oximeter, which can read their temperature and blood pressure. I don't know what all it can do, but that is one area, phase 3, to the advancement. So anybody who's doing the project, they should ideally do this. And the fourth thing is the identity. So identity should not be like, somebody is typing in something. It should be either by voice or it should be using biometric identity. A patient comes in, puts in his finger, take the thumbprint, take his eye scan, and immediately you should be able to know what is his Aadhaar card or what is the global citizen ID. So every person on this earth will have an ID, which you can say a global citizen ID, wallet address, or it will be some ID based on within our blockchain network. So those IDs should automatically be known with the biometrics. We don't need for people to keep records of the paper and maintenance. That is like time consuming, and that is not solving the problem. So things should be so that would be your fourth phase, basically automation of the ID process. Any questions on this, Shashank or Shweta?
No, sir. Not right now.
Okay.
No, sir.
So can I go ahead with these screenshots and make the UML diagram of these, how this will perform?
Yeah, you can. So what we want to do quickly in the next few days is we want to quickly, next Sunday is like what, 27, no? By next Sunday we should have a documentation. Like you start, I think we can upload one document or something on the competition. So just divide your document into sections. So one section will be your your UML diagram, one section will be your screenshot, whatever you want to do. Give a header in that document.
Yeah, I will do like that.
And take
what I will do now. I will do like these only, these images, and these images I will incorporate in a document.
Yeah, and whatever I have described the what we are doing in this app. On the website, so you can take that.
Yeah, below the image only I will describe those things.
So you make sure that document you're preparing, because that we want it completed by next week 27th, and we want to submit it on 27th. So whatever we want to incorporate, so you can all these phases also. what we want to, what is the scope of the project, so maybe the project is big, but we want to divide it into phases. See, ultimately this app you'll have to give it to somebody, you give it to the government.
Yes, sir.
And give it to state governments which are ready to accept this app and take it forward. They find meaning in this idea, they find benefit in this idea, then definitely it is going to be very nice. And if you can do this in India, then it will be, you can be proud of that, and it will be like, you're offering something to the world, just like India offers the space technology to the world. You can offer the health technology to the world also. This is some area which we have to ultimately reach out to everybody, so that is the main thing. So so documentation by next week, that is our goal. And so now you can unshare your screen. I think you have covered everything, no, Shashank?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Let me share my screen. I was just trying to prepare some, something that I wanted to share today. I did not really get time because I was also busy looking at the blockchain technology that they are talking about. So there are two main technologies. There are 2 or 3 actually technologies that is they are asking us to incorporate. So the technologies are one is the 5ire technology, and so let me note it down over here somewhere so that you can see what I'm talking about. So one, they want us to use 5ire. The second, they want us to, so 5ire internally, the way it works. So this is something, maybe I can draw a little simple diagram. So whatever diagrams I share, just make a note of it also, Shashank, so that you can, copy paste. So you will be my main person who will be managing the documentation. If you need help,
you will be sharing these documents in WhatsApp.
Yeah, I will share, but make sure if you feel something important, then make sure you have a screenshot of it. Otherwise, I'll save from time to time. So 5ire is like, is like a door. Okay, just think it's like a door, like a door to something. No, so usually we have.
Excuse me, sir. Are you writing something on the screen right now?
Yes.
I think it's not being updated. Can you please stop share and share again?
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, and now it's visible.
Okay, so they want us to use technology which is called 5ire. Okay, so 5ire is like a, first of all, you think it like a door. Okay, which it lets you enter in, and this door is going to use a blockchain network. Okay, so this door, usually we have a door to the house. This is a door to the blockchain network. So which blockchain network we are talking about? We are talking about a technology called Substrate. So so this is how so any so what is a substrate? Substrate is not some cryptocurrency or something. It is a technology. You can say it is a set of programs. So using these programs, you can anybody, any blockchain can integrate themselves into have a substrate interface. So behind the scene, at this point, I can have Ethereum over here, or I can so in this case we are only looking at Polkadot. So Polkadot crypto is actually called DOT. If you look out for the crypto, it is called DOT. So but it's a technology that helps you do cross chains. So cross chains. What is cross chain? Cross chain is between 2 different blockchains. So Ethereum is one blockchain, and I can have a Bitcoin on another side. No, so the records in Ethereum are different, and the records in Bitcoin is different. It is like 2 different banks. One is Bank of Maharashtra, one is Bank of India. There are two different banks. Now, if you want to make a transaction between the two different chains, so it is or two different databases, then Polkadot is something can come into use, and so these are basically I don't have like a lot of details, but you can say Substrate is the base of that, the technology, the underlying Polkadot is infused with Substrate. They work very smoothly to make cross chains possibly. So I hope you understood what is cross chain. Cross chain means going across from one blockchain to another blockchain. So what is 5ire? 5ire is like a door you can connect to the substrate. So anybody, if you want to connect to an Ethereum network, this blockchain, they have to get on they have to have a substrate implementation of their own. So that through this house, you can access the specific blockchain. So that is how it will. So this is how your main diagram will look like. The blockchain design. So here and on the substrate side, you can have your own database stored. So what we call it as so one is the definitely. Right? So that is your blockchain data is like normal, like any other blockchain data. But what happens now, the thing is we are talking about domain specific data. What is domain specific data? Domain specific data is your health data, no? So health data, what all is there in health data? Health data indicator is there, then the indicator of value is there, the date when it was taken is there, then the account or basically the patient for whom it was taken, it is there. All this information is captured in the domain data. It is different from how do I it is domain data is different from the blockchain data. Blockchain data usually basically you have a transaction, your crypto transaction. So in this who is paying how much money to whom, and so usually this crypto transaction not whenever you're sending or receiving money, or whenever you're performing this transaction, you also have to pay to the node which actually processed your transaction. That is called the gas money. So gas money is the extra fee that you're paying for the service of your transaction. So so anytime any data that has to get onto the blockchain, they have to be connected with some transaction. So that is very important. So so if you want to upload hemoglobin data in some format, then that data has to be connected to this blockchain data, and this blockchain data will be part of this blockchain network. So will be so that is how you will see. The question is, how do you store blockchain domain data? Domain data. So there are different techniques. One, you can think of using smart contracts. So smart contract is like extending your your program logic. So here your program logic can come in, and maybe your data also can come in. But the thing is, when you store smart contract, that data also goes on the blockchain, and that your blockchain data can be, if your domain data is very huge, then you're taking a lot of data and putting on the blockchain, and for putting that much data on the blockchain, you will pay a very high gas fee. So ideally, so this is where different technologies, they're thinking like, why should we want a blockchain? Why should we want a domain data on the blockchain? Let's keep it off chain. Let's not put it on chain, let's put it off chain. So the other way of doing it is off chain data. So off chain data is still connected, but it doesn't go along with the blockchain data. What goes is basically you can say ID, some kind of an identifier, some number you have created for this data. So let's say you have a hemoglobin value of 200. So this will be converted into some unique ID, and that ID will be inside the blockchain network. So what is going inside the system is your identifier. It is that identifier is linking to your off-chain data. So if you want to know what is the data, you have to know what is the identifier, and where is the identifier, you have to know from the blockchain. So this off-chain data is where substrates. What is this identifier actually in the blockchain world? It is called hash. Somebody is coming. Yeah. Are you all with me so far on this?
Sorry for interruption, sir, but I don't understand what is off-chain data.
Off-chain data means data which is not there on the blockchain network. So it means so let me see if I can show you some screen. So this is how your the block, your block is looking like this over here. A block of code is set as follows. So not this, sorry. Okay, so basically, let's say assume this is a one block. In this, so every block will have a one or more transaction. And what is a transaction? Transaction is who's sending the money to whom, right? That is one thing that is there on the transaction. The other thing is if you want to have some data, let's say this transaction is is bound by the health contract of government, so that the data is that link to the data has also you want to associate that data with the transaction, then that also you can put it in the block. But anytime you put the data on this block, what will this block size become? The block size will become big. So and where is this block stored? This block is stored on a node, and to process that, to store that data means to process this data on the block with so much of data within the block or within the transaction, you have to pay a price. So whenever the data is inside the block, it is called on-chain over here. Whenever so this is called the blockchain network over here. There's a link over here. So I hope I'm not like, I wanted to go through this and give a proper explanation, because there are a lot of basics covered over here. Okay, I can't find this. Maybe this thing, I'll cover. So let me draw one more diagram.
Sir, are you recording it?
Yes, I'm recording, but I'm not sure if I'm going to upload it. So basically anything, the blockchain network consists of block of data, you can say. Okay, that is how what it means over here. So that is how, and it is called blockchain because you will have multiple blocks over here. So let's assume this is 2 blocks over here. So in each block there can be multiple transactions. So one transaction is here, and second transaction is here, and then after this the third transaction is in the second block, and the fourth transaction is in the fourth block. So, and what is the transaction consist of? The transaction is basically who's sending the data to whom. No? So you have a data from, to, money, price. What is the price you're sending. So every transaction will have this information. So this is how. Now the thing is, how do you know which is the next block? So this fellow, this block will have an identifier. I told you what is an identifier in the blockchain. It is hash. So a hash is like a unique number that identifies the block. So this block number, every block will have a number which is your basically a hash value. So hash value is a unique number that is generated for this specific data only. So this hash, so this is called the parent hash. Hash of a parent, or you can say so hashes can be, ID can be for anything. No, so this is what a ID. This is a ID to your parent block. So that is how you know which block comes next in the blockchain. Every block has a parent ID, and this the first block is called the first block. Also will have a hash, but and this is like the root ID, you can say, or whatever. And but this block is also called Genesis block, the first block that is created in the whole process. Now even the transactions are in order. Remember, this transaction is connected to this transaction, then this block is connected to this block, and then it continues over here. So this is transaction 1, 2, 3, 4, and then continues. So this is how the blockchain is implemented. Now so on-chain data basically would mean that apart from TRAN, let's say you want to put health data also over here, you want to put Aadhaar card data also over here, you want to put any other like address also over here. So when you when you put this data also as a part of the transaction, it is called on-chain data over here. Means it is part of the block and transaction only. So the on-chain data is part of it, resides over here. Whatever extra data that you put apart from the transaction, okay. But the thing is, this you have to pay a price for putting the on-chain data or to process this data. So rather than putting the data, keeping the data over here, what we do is we keep it separate. So it may be on the node itself, that is fine. So here you have a off-chain database, you see. This off-chain database will have the TRAN ID, let's say, and it will have the data also. The data will be what? Will be your indicator, your value, your date, whatever. So you keep it separate. Now this you name it as your off-chain ID. Hash. So this is again a hash. Every ID is a hash over here. So this ID is what you store inside the block over here with the TRAN. So here, instead of storing all the data inside the on-chain, you just store off-chain ID over here. If anybody wants to know what is the data associated with off-chain ID, they know this off-chain ID, then this off-chain database is also on the node, so they will get it from here. So processing this, let's say you want to create a graph or you want to query, it is better rather than going on the blockchain. Every time you go on the blockchain, you're going to pay a price. So rather than doing that, you try to interface with an external database which is also running with the node, but at the same time it is strongly linked with the block, because if you these things cannot be independent. So the off-chain database has to be linked in a way so that it has the security of the blockchain, it has all the features of the blockchain, and because if somebody gets hold of this database and they manipulate it, then again there's a problem of there's no use of using blockchain otherwise. So off-chain database also has to have the similar kind of blockchain features of security and autonomous and database replication. All the features have to be there. But with the blockchain network is definitely now going to be very lean. It is going to be very sleek. It is not going to have all the data in that. So all the data is on off-chain. So that is what we are talking about, off-chain database. Is it clear? What is off-chain database? What is on-chain database?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain just what you understood, Shweta, in just 1 or 2 lines? What you understood on what is on-chain data, what is off-chain?
On-chain data means that we have included in our block, that is like transaction from where is our transaction or to destination and price like off-chain ID, and off-chain database like we can say it is a like extra information that maybe it is connected to that block that you would give the example like transaction ID, indicator value, and date.
Right. So basically every record that we are creating here, we're creating a hash of the data, which is called off-chain ID, and that off-chain ID is over here. If you want to know what is the extra data, you just have to first find out what is off-chain ID and then come over here to in this database to look at the values over here. So the network itself is not very busy. You have distributed your task, between the two different things. You're not mixing up the two over here. So this off-chain data in Substrate, we can implement it using there are programs called pallets. Okay, so that is what you need to remember. In Substrate, pallets they used to add. You can use to create your storage data and even your program logic or whatever. So pallet is where will be residing. It will it seems to be working like smart contracts, but I think that's the one of the key difference between smart contract and off-chain databases. Smart contracts somehow get inside your block and become expensive, and off-chain is like separate and it is independent, but at the same time if you implemented something in a smart contract, it is a much smaller program and it is part of the blockchain network. Any blockchain network will understand what is a smart contract, but any blockchain data may not understand your off-chain data. So those are the things which I have not dwelt so much into, but I'm just giving an idea as and when I'm understanding this technology. I've still not implemented even a single smart contract, so I don't have guaranteed information that this is what is how it works and this is what we can do. People are using different techniques. Any question, Shashank, on your side?
No, sir.
Okay, can you explain this diagram a little bit?
This one. Hello?
Yeah, this diagram, what you understand from this diagram?
Yeah, like in this diagram, what we are doing, 5ire is just like a door to the blockchain network that we are, which contains the data. Now, what will happen? We have some domain data like indicators and all those. Now it will be connected to the blockchain data. Now what we have, we are thinking here is we have to keep it off chain or on chain. But like if we keep it on chain, for every time if we have to fetch the data, we have to pay some gas fee, which will be very much expensive. But similarly, we can keep it in off chain, but we have to use the same hashing techniques and all those things, and we can for like the pallets is termed as
yeah, so pallet is a you can say part of Substrate implementation to enable off-chain data. So that is one of the features of pallets. Okay. So the thing is, why can't we directly go into the blockchain network, and why do we require a door? So so ideally anybody can connect to the blockchain network. Till then it is on the it is public. So the thing is, 5ire apart from being a door, it also tries to offer some more things, and they are like focused on sustainability. So from this, so UN sustainability goals, which we have mentioned about, there are 17 goals, which addresses the issues of the key issues of the world. So that is what it is addressing. So how it does it is, it has its own implementation over here, which is called usually a proof of 5ire. It's a very term, they're using this kind of a catchy term, proof of 5ire. So there is a in a blockchain we have proof of work, proof of stake. So you can find out what is proof of work and what is proof of stake, what is consensus algorithm. Here they are talking about proof of 5ire. So do I have some documentation on this? So here you can see they have they want to implement something known as proof of benefit, proof of donation. Means people can donate, people can whoever is contributing to the UN sustainability goals, they can get some benefit. So the benefit can be like gas money also, and so proof of 5ire checks for sustainability compliance. So it also means whoever is let's say our Swasta app is using 5ire 5ire gate to reach out to the people of the world and help with their health. They will they will gift us through their own funds through this proof of 5ire. They will have some checking done. The So basically, whoever gets on this, not this diagram, the other diagram, yeah, whoever gets on this, 5ire thing and does some nice work, that person reputation will go high. Will be evaluated. So if your reputation is evaluated, you will get some funding. And so the donations, so the funding will come through donations, will come from the treasury. And then you will have some benefits, whatever comes through this. So so they are looking at who is doing what on the 5ire network. The 5ire network internally is using definitely Substrate and Substrate over here, and then Substrate is connected to somehow to Polkadot. There's a good support for Polkadot plus Substrate combination. 5ire is something which is just trying to put a layer around this blockchain network and see who's doing what work and who is highly reputed in the sense. So let's say Shashank is managing this app on the blockchain. So 5ire, so Shashank's ID will get a higher reputation score. Through some way of verification. So they have their own. So some people on this board will be part of the committee also, and the selection of the committee is not that somebody is controlling or somebody is hiring somebody. The whole process will be automated in the sense who will be part of the committee and how to find out who is a bad actor versus a good actor inside the system, and whom should we promote forward. So even the UN, if it wants to support anything, you can like open up your your campaign donation on this network using 5ire. So that is something which we usually see, right? We go to a website, we say so and so person is sick, let's start donating, open up a campaign, and then you see that on the website. So something like that can be done through 5ire over here. But apart from getting the donation itself, there is also funding. So funding towards all the funding towards UN sustainability goals. So every time you're doing something to help with the UN sustainability goals, some funding will come and it will go into your relevant accounts or whoever is managing the node. So those nodes will get, whoever is managing that node will get that money just like you get a gas money. So as far as proof of 5ire is concerned, I have not seen the implementation of whatever they are talking about. This seems to be very conceptual so far. They have not shown any interface which allows you to do this, like creating a donation, creating a treasury. They are not even they are not even public. The 5ire token is not even public so far in the real market right now. The day when so definitely they are going through a transition phase where they have initiated, they have come up with this idea. Now they want to take this idea to the market, so this idea has not yet been implemented in the market, so it is going to take time. But in the meantime, they want us to, they are creating this competition and they are saying, okay, let us can you design some solution. So ideally I wanted to do a lot of things on this proof of 5ire. Using the proof of 5ire thing, I wanted to automate a lot of processes, but the thing is, a lot of APIs I'm not finding over here. The only API that I found was to connect to the Substrate network. So my second option, then what I tried was, okay, let me see what I can do on Substrate. And when I went to Substrate, I found out that you can use off-chain data storage technique using pallets. So that is what I was working with, and so I did succeed to to an extent. I created a node, I created a client. So something which the assignment which I've given Shweta and Priscilla. So that is what this architecture looks like. Now anytime you want to gather the data, you either can connect directly to the blockchain network, or maybe you can connect to the 5ire. I'm not very, there's some things you can definitely do through the 5ire, but I'm not sure whether we right now, whether can we read pallet data or not. Definitely you can read block data, so that is possible. I know. But pallet data is something which I have not experimented with, but definitely I can connect directly to the Substrate node and collect the pallet data. That is something which we can do as of now. So yeah, so I'll save this diagram. Any questions? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, so here in Substrate is just like we have a Solidity language where we are using to create smart contracts and do all the magic work. Here the language that is used is Rust. Okay, so whenever you hear the word Rust, it is a programming language. So if you know.
So your screen may be hanging.
Okay, hold on. Yes. So sorry, my network problem. Hello. Oh, Shashank is not there?
No, sir. He left the meeting. It's 10 minutes before.
Oh. Okay, so okay, let me.
Good evening, sir. Sir, can you?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Will you be able to upload this video, sir? The thing is, actually, I thought Shashank was asking in the group, right? Is the meet on? So I didn't get any reply. I thought the meet is not there. Then I thought, like, let me check. Let me join and check. After a couple of minutes, I joined. So I joined a bit late, sir. Can you upload this video?
Yeah, I will upload it. It's I think getting it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's getting uploaded. Great. So you can see my screen now.
No, sir.
No, sir.
It is save TS meeting or something. Anyway, it's okay. I'll inform him later. I wanted to assign him some things. Anyway, can you see the screen now?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I was saying is, in Ethereum, we use a language called Solidity to implement, smart contracts and do all the magic work. Here in Substrate, the language that is used is called Rust. Okay, so one has to know Rust, if you want to be efficient in using Substrate technology. And for 5ire also, I think they seem to be using Rust. So I'm not seeing anything else. So Rust is like a key language in this in this hackathon, and that is what we'll be implementing also. So Priscilla, did you get a chance to try out any of the experiments?
So I worked on that task which you gave. It's actually almost done. There was some issue because I had to stop it. The Substrate one, I have completed it. It's like 95% done. But since I have a Windows, right? Yeah.
What
and that virtual
exactly?
So it's to create a new substrate. I use the link which you shared, right? So it has all these steps. I tried to do all the steps according to that. I didn't have any problem. But since it's happening from the virtual machine, right? It was taking time, and it's actually creating a problem for my laptop since I use this for the office and all, right? So that's why.
Yeah. So what you can do is I found out another way of doing these things. You can, if you have a Microsoft Windows 10, you can go ahead and install Ubuntu App over here. So you have to go in your, I think some kind of a Play Store is there, Microsoft Store is there. And once you implement, once you can download Ubuntu actually, and see Ubuntu App is over here. So this will act like a virtual machine inside on your Windows. So this is very sleek, and it is you don't have to install VirtualBox separately, and this will operate like your your Linux operating system. So this is running over Windows. It is strongly integrated. It's like an app. It's like an app on your phone. This is like an app on your Windows operating system. So is this clear? This part, what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yeah, sir.
Yeah, so this will take very less space, and it will be much quicker instead of you want to switch to something else. So, so some of the things that I did was, let us quickly demonstrate.
Sir?
Yeah.
So actually I have a doubt regarding that first tutorial that create first substrate. So I'm trying on Windows 10. So steps are different for that. But actually I'm facing some errors like T in Rust. I completed that step. 1 minute or so.
Okay. What I'll do is maybe you can share your screen. And we'll start off, we'll try to see if we can implement it on your screen first. Okay?
Okay, sir. So I'm sharing my screen.
Let me share.
So am I visible?
Yes, you're.
Hello?
Yes, you're visible.
Sir. So this is the tutorial that you have shared. So here, let's see here, for Windows, I'm referring this page. So they are giving the option like follow the instruction for Ubuntu and all. But I tried this thing. If you do decide to try and use a Windows computer to natively build Substrate, do the following. So I am doing this. So so till this rust up update, all these commands are done. But sir, this fourth one, install LLVM, that I'm facing some issue. Means I'm opening this link. See here, sir.
Okay.
So should I install this LLVM, or what to do? Means,
Yeah. No, right now what you do is you don't go this path. You go the path
Okay.
I told you. No, I told you Ubuntu app. Remember just now. So what you do? Keep this. Keep these steps open. Type Ubuntu in your type here to search, see if it is there on your Windows. No,
So
not
this-
here, no. On the bottom part of your screen, there's a section. No, type here to search. Type over Ubuntu over there. It is not there. No, this is something else. No, this is not this. Okay. Can you type Microsoft Store? Yeah, it's come.
So maybe take too much time. So if you have afterwards time, take.
Okay.
You just tell me.
Okay. Let me share my screen then. Okay. You need to find. This is just like your Play Store. Okay. On this Play Store, you have to find your Ubuntu app and install it. Okay. So now I'll share my screen.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you have your sorry. So here you should install your Ubuntu app inside this. Then this is taking. Okay, no problem. So here if you search for Ubuntu, just like any other app, so you'll find over here 20.04 version or 20.18 version, whichever version you want. I have 20.04.4 LTS version. Okay, so that is how once you click this app is going to get installed, and it is going to create a menu option inside your on your main window. So here when you type Ubuntu, then your Ubuntu app will show up. So it will create its own, it will use your own Windows ID to create an initial login, and everything will be automatic over here. So it is working like your virtual machine itself, the way you have created VirtualBox. So here you have your Windows operating system, which you already have over here. And on the top of this, you have a layer of Ubuntu operating system. So there is the Ubuntu operating system is running inside, on the not on the top exactly, but is running inside over here. So this is like replicating your Linux environment. So here is where you can install everything over here. Substrate and Rust, and So whatever Linux command is you want to run, it can run over here. So this is very much more easier to do. So once we have installed, it will automatically create a login. If you type dir, you'll see a lot of things I have implemented over here. I've implemented a substrate node template. So how do I do that? And I go to this step. So first step is what? Curl https. So while I'm okay, I don't want to. So let's say I take this command, and what is Rust? Rust is a programming language. Remember, to implement everything. So the first thing that I want us to do is install Rust. So so let me clear the screen first. So I can put curl over here, and if curl is not there, then you have to install curl. So if you want to install curl, if curl is not there on your, curl is basically your download utility. So if you don't have, then you have to know how to install curl. So for this in Ubuntu, so you have to search for some command which will download it or something. So how to install curl in Ubuntu from command terminal. So they will give you something like this: sudo apt install curl. So this is the command which will install your curl inside your. I'm just going to share it on your message. So not all the commands are given. So something is missing. You will have to go and find out what is how you can install that from the command line, and you have to go ahead and install it. So on my box it is already there, so that's why you can see that. And now if I run this, it will try to install curl, so downloading, installer, whatever, etc. So let me just stop this download process, and let me see what is the next step. Next step is source, configure your current shell to your reload, your path variable, so that this source, so this is your root home directory. And if you see what is your home directory, there you can see a small tilde sign over here, right? So this tilde sign is your root directory. So it says from the root directory run this program. So let's see, we run this command. So it is much simpler using your Ubuntu environment rather than Windows environment. So that's why I went with this. So you can just copy this command from here by clicking this and right click and paste it and enter. So you see that command was run over here. So let me clear the screen now. What is the next step? Next step is Rust app default stable Rust app update. Means it is installing Rust. Okay. And then you do these steps. These are all command, one command after the other. It's so simple, no? Finally, you are going to install. Once you have installed the Rust, you have to create a substrate node. So here they have a ready-made code which you can install. It is a ready-made code to create a substrate node is already here. So you have to simply download it. It is there in the Git repository. But the thing is, do you have Git on your your Ubuntu? Again the same way. How do we install Git in Ubuntu from command terminal? So you have to find a command which is so you see these are some of the, it says actually this is the first, they're saying you update your operating system. That is what this first two steps does. And the third step is saying install apt-get install git. This is a command to make sure git is there on your Ubuntu system. So remember, whatever you are installing, you're not installing on Windows operating system. You are installing on Ubuntu operating system. So it's running inside that. So you cannot access it from your Windows. It is all like your black box. Okay, inside everything is there, but if you want to access anything in the black box, you have to get inside the box. You have to get inside the Ubuntu operating system. So this is how you install git. And the way you confirm whether git is there on your box is you just check the version. Anytime anything you install, just check the version. If the version you can see the command is returning any reply, then that is installed. So let us clear the screen. And the moment you, as I told you, what is the step to, let me just close this. So then you can run this command. Once this command is running, a folder will be created on your box, which is substrate node template. So now if you see what is there in the substrate node template, So this is your blockchain node now. So all the code is here, it is written in Rust. And what do you do the next step once it is installed? Then you go to that folder, no? You cd that folder and you say git checkout latest. So these are the commands you run. So so it's so simple. I've already done cd, no? I've already gone inside the folder cd. I've already done this command cd substrate, and here you can run the command git checkout latest. Means the latest version of the substrate node template will be there. And finally you build the code. Build the code means converting it into some machine language format, converting the high level language into machine language format. So this is how it will, this cargo build release. So let me just go ahead and say cargo build release. So cargo is like your like your node package manager, your npm. You use your npm to download your packages, your yarn to implement packages. Cargo is something similar. So once you run this command, it will you have to go in the root folder and say build over here. So how it will so one of the file which is important to see how to build, it's your cargo.toml. So here you have to mention here basically what all other dependent programs or libraries you require has to be mentioned over here. So in this case it's saying it is dependent on pallets, template, runtime, not much over. So I am using vi editor, so you have to know how to use vi editor. Okay, so vi editor, the way it uses, I type vi cargo.toml over here. If I want to insert any text, I have to press I. The moment I press I, this down thing, you can see there's an insert option over here, and then I can enter key and I can delete or something. If I want to stop in editing, then I have to press escape. So once I put in the escape, you cannot edit anything. Then if you want to save and come out, press colon. So the moment I press colon, this sign will come over here, and press W means will save, and if I press enter, this means save the file. And if I want to save and quit, so I press escape again, colon. So colon means command mode, it is not edit mode. So command mode will bring up the colon. Once you press the button colon, it will go in the command mode, and you can say WQ. So WQ means save and exit. So it is a difficult editor, not like your normal word editor, but because I'm running this inside a Ubuntu environment, it is doesn't has user interface, so everything has to be done from command line. So a lot of things which ideally I do through user interface, like your notepad or something, I am not able to do it for you. So but anyway, if you know this simple way to edit the file and save the file, you are good enough. Then you can do your magic over here. So basically cargo.toml basically contain all the libraries and everything. And if I say cargo, so let me clear the screen first. So cargo build release, this will build the entire thing, and it will download any files if required from the based on what you have mentioned in the TOML file. So since it is already built for me, it has taken 3.4 just 3 seconds. But usually when you are building for the first time, this will take time. So once it is built, it will create a folder in your target folder. So if you go to cd folder over here, so where is the target folder? And the target is not there. Acha, your target sorry, it is there. I am not able to see. Here is the target. Okay, I didn't see over here. So anyway, so basically whatever you're building your code, it goes in the target folder. Okay, so since you have created a release mode, it has created a release folder for you. So if you see there's a release folder, in this release folder all your code, whatever you built, it is there over here. Now you can run this program called node template over here. So this is how if you want to run your, so this is your this program is actually your substrate node. So now if you want to run your your programs, you say ./target, you have to give a path, so folder. So okay, so now you're in the substrate node template. From here you go into target folder, then you go into release folder, then you type your substrate node program name, and you say this is development mode, and the moment you do this, your node is starting. So your node is starting, and it has exposed port number 99444 over here. And if you notice, it is creating blocks for you. It has created a block number 0 for you already. And now if you notice, it is trying to do some processing and everything. It will create some ready-made account for you so that you can play around with this node, and you can transfer money, or you can create smart contracts, or you can add pallets. You can do every magic, using this kind of nodes. So here I'm going to wait and see. Let me have this. I'm waiting for the next block. And why it is taking time? Okay, till then that is happening. Let us look at the steps. So here what they're saying is install the front end template. Now the thing is, you should be able to see your data inside your blockchain. So how you're going to see it? We are going to see it from the front end program, and that is where the second part comes in over here. So for the second part, so now the thing is, this is running on the browser, this front end now, and browser is not inside your Ubuntu. So what I did was, so this fellow is taking time. Okay. Anyway, so let us let this keep going on Ubuntu. I will go back to my Windows operating system. So if you notice, I've created a 5ire folder over here, and not 5ire, sorry, I've created a Substrate folder, so that anything that I'm doing on Substrate, I am going doing this. So my front end, I'm installing it on my on the Windows operating system. Actually, that is what my plan is. So so here, so this is my node is running over here. My blockchain node is running over here, and where is my front end? Front end is in the Windows operating system. So these are like two different machines, huh? So don't think that just because they are the same machine, these are like operating like two different machines. So this is going through some network. So if the front end is connecting to the blockchain node over here. So so this is how the why I'm doing this, because I want to access the browser. This front end is implemented using React.js, and it is using even Rust, I think. I'm not very sure. So let us definitely is React.js, and it is running in a browser. These two things I know. So this front end has to connect to the blockchain. So that's why, since I want a user interface browser, I'm trying to install on the Windows OS. So what is the steps? If you see, first you have to make sure Node.js is installed. So how do you install Node.js? That again, you have to find out. I've given you will have to. So it will give you, like, you can download this installer file MSI and just run it, and automatically it will install. Okay, so download this MSI file and just click it and open it, and it will install automatically. And once you have installed, you can verify whether the node is installed by looking at its version. So for example, so I go to my command prompt, and this is my Windows operating system. So remember that, okay? And where I want to install, I'm going to that folder, and I want to install over here. So I want to go to G drive, so I'll say G:, and let me clear the screen over here. Okay. So CLS is a Windows command to clear the screen. Clear is a Linux command to clear the screen. So you have to know which command to run where. If you are in the Ubuntu environment, use Ubuntu commands, Linux commands, and if you are in the Windows environment, use Windows commands. So here if I say node --version, it will tell me what version I have, 14.17.5. So my node is running. So node is going to be used ultimately to install everything else for the front end. Then you have to make sure yarn is also installed. So if you want to install yarn, then you can, once you install node.js, you can install this using the node command. npm is a node command, so you can type over your node command and it will install yarn for you. Once you install yarn, you check the version of the yarn by checking this, and that will give you 1.22.17. so yarn is also like npm, but it is developed by somebody else. So it is one of the famous tools that also use to install, compile, etc. Once you have installed this package utilities, you can download your front end over here using the similar git command. And I already told you how to install git command. So one on Linux I showed you, then on Windows also similarly you should have git over here. Once you do that, you have to git clone. Clone means duplicate. So duplicate whatever is there in this folder and download it. So once you download it, you can go into the folder cd substrate front end template, and if you notice I have installed substrate over here. So everything is installed over here, and if you look at it's saying get the latest version once you've downloaded, and then you install the program. Yarn install now. Will install what? Will install front end for you. It will automatically create the front end for you. All the magic is already done for you. And now how do you, now where this is running? This is running in your Ubuntu. I've already started this, if you remember. And let's see what is the progress on Ubuntu. I don't see any progress. Oh yeah, it is there, it is there. So you see finalize 60, that is what I was looking for. Finalize 60 means 60th block has been created. So this is going on, the process is going on in the Ubuntu. So blockchain node is active over here. So this thing is already done. And now I'll go to, so this thing we are already seeing over here, right? Backend. We want to start the front end. Now I want my front end to connect to the backend. So it is all programmed automatically. So all that you do is you go in over here. First let me clear the screen. And sorry. And I can say yarn space start. It will automatically start your Node.js backend and your React.js website for you. It's taking time. So first time it will take time. Second time if you run, it will not take so much time. It will do everything automatically for you. All the magic is starting the Node.js server, and if you notice the website is running on local on Windows operating system at on 8000 port over here. Now it is trying to load and connect to your blockchain. So it will show you the progress as it does. So let us see whether it works or not. So it is saying connecting to the substrate. It is automatically trying to connect to the blockchain node. So this is not connecting now, and I spent whole day removing this error yesterday, and today it has come back. But what you are going to see is you are going to see this screen actually. How many blocks are there? So if you saw, if there were 60 blocks, you are going to see 60 blocks created over here, and it has created some accounts for you, and it is saying there are 10 or 9 or 10 accounts over here. One, the account name is Alice, and the what is the amount of currency in that? 1.529 M unit, you know. So this many, this fellow Charlie doesn't has 0 money, and Alice has Bob, and Bob has some money. So why that error is coming, I'll have to remove again, and that error is coming because of this network. You see this line, this network is blocked. Now why it is blocked, I do not know. Ideally if you had your virtual box, then this error won't come. So another way of implementing the same thing is you have your Windows operating system over here. So the way Priscilla has done is she's taken a Windows operating system, then she has installed VirtualBox. Then inside this, on this she has implemented Ubuntu. Then inside this she has created a blockchain node, you know, the one which we saw just now. In the same application, in the same machine, she would ideally implement the front end also, which is like your, so this is your like a substrate blockchain node, and on the same machine they are implementing also what, substrate front end. So when you are inside the same environment, connecting from here to here is not a problem, because you are on the same machine, same, you know, there is not like across 2 different networks or 2 different operating systems. So in this case that error won't come over here. In this case we will use this technique. Here if you do the technique, you have to remove the networking problems over here, and that is a different exercise, and that I cannot show you now because I'll have to see now again why the problem has come back again. So I will repeat my solution, whatever I did yesterday, to remove this problem. But this is your easiest way of doing things. You know, this is your this will slow. This is like the file size. You know, the size of files are big over here, and it is going to take a lot of memory, and it is going to slow your machine. So implementing using this technique is going to take a long time, and this technique size of file is small, memory and it is fast, but you need to solve network problems, because these are like two different machines for the you know, for your machine, you know, your computer. That is, it doesn't see this as Ubuntu OS and Windows OS is the same thing. It's seeing as two different computers. That is why, and whenever you want to communicate between two different computers, you have to make sure the networking is all, you have all the permissions to access each other's data or programs. So when you do that, it will run you through the steps, and it will tell you try to transfer money. So it will actually going to transfer some money, you know, by using your blockchain. So remember, you have created your own currency, you have created your own blockchain node through this, and you're transferring the money. So if you notice, if you do these steps, the 2 units have been transferred from Alice to Dave. Dave was 0 first on the top, and now Dave is 2 units because you have run the transfer command. So this transfer command, how it has run? It has run through the Substrate blockchain implementation, and here you're going to see some events, in the sense indication of what happened on the blockchain. So every time you want to know the transfer has happened, then you can see, look at for the balances transfer event. Okay, this event occurred on the blockchain. So by reading in the events, it is like a log file. You can see what all happened, and you can, here then you know, when the transaction is completed and included in the block. So remember, when the transaction is completed and included in the block, I already told you the block consists of transaction. A block has its own ID called block hash. A transaction has its own ID called transaction hash. So the entire transaction along with the transaction hash is put in the block, and you see a confirmation message similar to the following, and this is the hash. This is like a unique number that identifies that particular record, and then it stops. So this is very simple, and then I went one more step ahead. I wanted to see how pallets are done, and I went ahead and I where is the pallets thing? Any doubts so far? Is it confusing? Are you all understanding whatever I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, what is pallets? Now I explained some time back, no? What did you understand by pallets? Pallet is can be used for storing off-chain data, no?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, it is like a program.
So maybe it verifies the files in blockchain network.
Yeah, in our example, we are storing the health data, no? So where are we going to store health data? So are we going to put it as a blockchain, or are we going to store it in a separate pallet? You know, so pallet is like a database. So here it is creating a pallet called Nix over here, and this is a tutorial to add a Nix pallet. So this is a separate tutorial. So you can come to this step only when you know how you're comfortable implementing Substrate nodes. That is the first step you need to do. Then the second step is know how to implement pallets. So if you see pallets, you can have your own functions, and you can have your own logic. It is like little bit like a smart contract only, you can say. So here it is calling a function called just like the front end which we have for Substrate node. Here Nix also has a front end, and it can call you can query your blockchain and see the name of this account ID. Now this account ID is looking like a very big hash number, because I told you, no, even account numbers are like hashes. It is not like easy name like Shweta Surve or Priscilla Anthony or James D'Souza. No, every person will have its own ID, which is called the account ID, and that account ID is very big, very complex, and not everything is revealed. It is created using hashing techniques. And you can connect to your account and you can call a function on your whatever you have implemented, name of this account, and then you saying that when you click query button, you saying getting the result none. So in our case, what we will have get hemoglobin of account ID so and so, and then output you should get hemoglobin is equal to 200 mg. That is what something we will get. So this is a example of how you can implement all these functions externally and read the data. What I have done is I have worked on Kitty's palette. So Kitty's palette is an example of kitties means cats. Okay, so here they are allowing you to create cat, to produce new cats and to own the cat, to sell the cat. And it's a nice little funny thing they are doing. So who has got how many cats, how do you create a cat, and how do you know how many cats are there in the system, and what is the price of this cat, can I transfer this cat to somebody else. All this tutorial is done in this Kitty's tool. So I have done this, and I have yesterday it was working quite a bit. Today again the network problem has come. So again you see there's a palette over here. So you palette storage. So storage is like your database. And what are they storing? They're storing kitty. CNT means kitty. They created a variable called kitty count. Okay, so means how many kitties are there inside your blockchain. So that is what it says. So if you read this, if you know how to read this value, you will know how many kitties are there. And they have many other functions, and you can test it through the front end example that I've created. So this is a very difficult, very big program, very difficult. And if you've not done programming, this is not going to be easy. So you have to know little means if you have, but ultimately it's a copy and paste, but not everything will work. Not everything is revealed over here. So some of the files like cargo.tml they have not shared. A lot of problems I faced. Then I had to figure out how to solve the problem. And each problem, to solve one problem, it would take me full day. And every day I would face a new problem. So it took me around 2-3 days just to get to this point. I'm trying, and even now also you see I'm getting errors constantly. I'm getting that network problem. Every time some problem is either the network problem, the code problem, and I have to keep correcting the problems. And so this is a very little difficult. I find it very long, and not all the information is there. But I have done this. I have solved all the problems, and I should be very easy for me to pass on this knowledge to you in case if you have to implement this. So in this if you see there they have implemented a function called create kitty. So create kitty is nothing but just a transaction. So instead of sending so there may be some money involved behind every time you buy a cat you pay some money, but you actually get a cat also. So that cat they're creating a cat. For in this it is like a cat object, a cat class. So are you all aware about class object? Have you all worked with object oriented programming anytime? What is a class? What is an object? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you are aware what is a class and object, Smita?
Class means like we can take the example like a car. This is a class, and objects may be vehicle is maybe the class, and object maybe car, and all that will come.
Yeah. So something. Let me. So do a little study. Implementation. So one is a declaration, you can say. Okay. So one means you're declaring this is how the structure of the building is, but actual building will be have to be implemented, no? Then only it is meaning. So class is like just like your design. An object is actually the implementation of that class in the memory. So it is the actual program, you can say. So how that program, so every class has got a structure, you know, it is just like every building has a particular design. Every class can be you can create your own class structure, like creating your own building design. So let's say I want to create a kitty, so I can say what is my kitty name. So name, kitty name. So can you tell me, let's create a class for your health data. Can you tell me what all you'll include in your class? What all data you are going to include in your class? What all is required for your health data? You want to know who's the patient, no? First.
Yes.
So patient ID. What else you want to know about the patient? What all we are tracking?
Patient name, then any history about their health issues and.
Okay, but how are we tracking that history?
Reports.
Yeah, in that and report contains what?
Report contains
what we call is indicator.
Okay, indicator. Okay.
Yeah, so indicator can be equal to hemoglobin count. It can be your RBC count, WBC count. I do not know, but I'm just giving an idea. Yes. Everything. This depending if it is 0, I can say 0 means hemoglobin, 1 means RBC, 2 means WBC, and it can keep on adding. So what actually, but we don't have to store. What is more important is for the classes there has to be a indicator field. And what else? Once you know this is hemoglobin, then you want to know what is the value of that hemoglobin, no? So value.
Yes.
Over here. Then you want to know when this value was created. So date of report you want to know. Correct? Then you want to know which medical center created it. Let's say medical center ID. You want to know which doctor prescribed it. So you can say doctor ID. You can keep on going on and on, you know, by creating your class structure. But for us, this is not that important. All this. For us, this top 4 field is the only things which is important over here. So once you have this class, I can name this class my Swasth. That is the name of the app that we are creating. So Swasth means health. So that's why I named it as Swasth. So we can give this app to the government, and they can use this, and they can track to the blockchain. So every time you can, once you want to now implement something, this you have to create a Swasth object. So you can say Swasth. This is one way of doing it. Is let's say using Java, then you can say Swasth is equal to object Swasth 1 is equal to new Swasth. What you are trying to do is you are trying to implement this. This is your design over here on the left hand side. Here in the program, when it is running, it is going to create an object. So when you are creating an object, what it does is it goes in your RAM memory and creates RAM memory is basically nothing but a set of boxes, you can say, and so some boxes in the memory, it is going to take some storage value, it is going to take in the memory, and it is going to create an object over here, and it is going to have the address, or it is going to store it somewhere. Object, what is your name of your object? Object Swasth 1. Now once you read this object at this particular address, the value of patient ID 12 will be stored over here. The value of indicator is 1 means hemoglobin, and 200 milligrams will be stored over here, and the date of report will be 02/02/22, you know, like February 2nd 22. So this object is created in the memory. Now anybody can go ahead and read this memory and display it on the front end, send it to anybody through the email. It has to be there in the memory as an object, only then you can use it. So you can, so this what we are doing is we will write some program, store it in Swasth pallet. What is a pallet? Pallet is like your storage. So you can have a function like this, and I can pass the what I want to store in the pallet. I want to store object Swasth 1. So that's why I said if you do not know programming, it can be little difficult, but and blockchain is not that easy. You have to understand programming also. So store it in Swasth pallet, and once you store it in first Swasth pallet, where it goes in your Swasth blockchain. So where is your Swasth blockchain? Your Swasth blockchain is running on your Substrate node. And what is there in this node? There is a blockchain data. And what is there? There is a pallet data, the domain data that we spoke about. Since I am stored, this will go over here. This program will contact your node wherever it is running, and this program node will make sure a block has been created and attached to a blockchain data over here. Is it clear whatever I am explaining so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you explain me this diagram, whatever what you're seeing on the left hand side, what you're seeing in the middle, what you're
Okay, sir. So left side that we have the class Buster, and we have created the objects Buster 1. Then in class we are having the parameters like patient ID, indicator, value, date of report, and in object we have created objects Buster 1, and this is in Java, I think. So that then our blockchain is so I'm little confused in Substrate node and blockchain data and pallet data. Means I understood this thing, but I'm not.
Yeah, this is something that you saw just now. No, I showed you an example how to create a Substrate node. Remember?
Yes.
You saw the steps how to install the Substrate node. No, that is what you're doing over here. All your data is going in here in the Substrate node, but you need to write a program to do that over here. So that is this program I'm writing to connect to node. So anytime anybody wants to know, so once it is on the blockchain node, anybody can read it. So who can read it? My Swasth app was created. No, just now Shashank explained what is my Swasth app going to do. Then government can take the data, researcher can take the data from here, patient can get the data from here, and we have one more, physician is also there. Doctor, physician is a doctor, okay? So all these people can read the data from the, this is on the global level, no? Nodes, anybody, I told you, no? In a blockchain, anybody can duplicate your node, no? So anybody can duplicate the node means they are going to get this data also along with that. And if anybody gets the data on their machine, anybody can read the data from the blockchain and look at what is happening. So that is how our system is working, you know. So my idea was to explain you class and object, and I hope now you have understood the difference between class and object. So I will ask you a question, a trick question now. Is class created in the memory or object created in the memory?
Object?
Yeah, object, no? So when you create a building, you have the design on the paper, but the building is not real, no, until you create that building, no? You saw that class is like your design. There is no meaning to it without an object. So if you want to create, every time somebody has to upload some report, they have to use objects. So object will be of a particular type. In our case, it is a particular type of class called Swasth. We are calling the name Swasth class. So there can be class of type car, as you said vehicle, no? So it can be a class vehicle. But in order to use the vehicle, you need to create a car. No, car is a vehicle. That way.
Yes.
So car is an object of type class vehicle.
Yes.
So yeah, so basically it means so this is all the tutorials there. Create your first substrate chain and add a next pallet to your runtime. And this is the workshop which I am doing, Substrate Kitties workshop. So, well, if you want to become expert, there's only one way: do all the tutorials. Don't even leave one tutorial, because that is only way you will get better. I want to share this. Okay, so now let me at least stop the recording.